Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. Of course, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells, and we have a special Saturday edition. We're going to talk a little SWAC women's and men's basketball. Just going to go over the schedule for today's games and give my thoughts and my predictions on the winners. We'll be back tomorrow to recap these games. So we're just going to kind of chop it up a little bit. Also, if y'all want to get the in-depth women's action, women's coverage on SWAC basketball, y'all definitely make sure y'all check out Liv for Hoops on Twitter. She does a great job covering women's basketball, way better than I could ever do. So y'all make sure y'all check that out because she does a lot of previews and recaps and all that good stuff on Twitter. So let's go ahead and start off with we'll start off with the standings first on the women's side. So far, we have majority of the teams that play 2 games. We have a few teams that have played 3 games, and we have a few teams that have played 1 game. So all over the place right now. It's going to be unbalanced for a while because you have the teams play travel partners and all that stuff. So Bethune-Cookman right now they lead at 1-0. They're 10-4 overall. Jackson State is 2-0. They're 7-6 overall. Pine Bluff is 2-0. They're 7-8 overall. Southern 2-0, 4-9 overall. Alabama A&M is 2-1, 7-8 overall. Grambling is 1-1, 7-6 overall. Texas Southern is 1-1, 12-11 overall. Bama State 1-2, 1-13 overall. Prairie View is 0-2, 4-8 overall. Alcorn 0-2, 2-11 overall. Florida A&M 0-1, 1-11 overall. And Valley is 0-2 and 1-14 overall. So looking at the games that are taking place today, Southern is at Florida A&M. That's a 12 o'clock tip-off Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I like Southern in this game primarily because Southern's a great defensive team. They play. They definitely get their hands on the ball and turn you over a lot. Their offense is getting better. Having Genovia Johnson and getting Raven White back in the lineup is going to help the Jags. It's going to be a tough affair because FAMU is going to play tight at home, but I think Southern will pull out the victory there. Alcorn is at Alabama State. That's a 2 p.m. tip. This game is a game that would probably go a long way in determining who makes that 8 spot. Right now, both of these teams are kind of struggling to put together wins. Alabama State does have a win over Valley. But they lost to Pine Bluff and Jackson State, which are 2 of the top teams in the conference. So they have had a tough go of it early. They're playing an Alcorn team that lost to Jackson State early and Alabama A&M. Bama State should win this game. Alcorn, they can be a little, they can kind of be in the mix, but I like Alabama State in this game. This is one of those games that I feel like the home team is probably going to have a bit more of an edge. You really, you don't really know where you stand with Alcorn right now. They could possibly, be a team that can be in the mix late. Right now, they're struggling to put wins together. They need to get on track. Bama State, like I said, they had 2 tough games early, so they're trying to find rhythm. Neither one of these teams are very good at scoring the ball. They both average about 52 points a game. And they both give up over 70 points a game. And their their point differential margin is negative 18.5 and negative 18.7. That's just conference numbers. So that shows you that in their conference games, they've both been blown out. So somebody's going to have to be able to put the ball in the basket. And, whoever can do that more frequently is going to be the winner. Neither one of these teams shoot well. They both shoot 34% from the field. Alcorn, and they both shoot. Um, these two teams kind of mirror each other. They both shoot roughly the same percentage all over the floor. They both shoot in the low 20s from three. Like I said, they're both two teams who kind of struggle from the field. So somebody's gonna have to find a way to make some shots. And a lot of times, in situations like that, I look at the team that's playing at home. I mean, these two teams are pretty even, no matter what the statistic that you look at. They both are teams that are fairly similar. Um, so I expect this to be a tight game. Neither team is great with turnovers. They both turn the ball over a lot. So this may be a sloppy game. So whoever can kind of, you know, withstand the sloppiness and make a couple shots is gonna win. So I like Bama State in this game. To win it is gonna probably be a close game, but I like Bama State in this one. Jackson State is at Alabama A&M. That's a 2 o'clock tip off. This is another really good matchup. A&M has been playing pretty well. They have a tough task against JSU. They did play Pine Bluff already. They lost to them, but they are a team who can do some work. They're rebounding pretty well. Um, but Jackson State right now is still one of the top teams in the league. Uh, Alabama A&M averages like 37 rebounds a game. Jackson State leads the league in rebounding at 42, so not a big difference there. So that should be a good matchup. JSU just has to take care of the ball and knock down some shots. They are shooting 32% from the 3-point line in conference play, so they're shooting fairly well. Of course, they're going to be strong shooting inside. They're shooting 41% from the field. Alabama A&M shoots 44% from the field, so they should be able to hold their own in that aspect. The Bulldogs, they struggle on defense, getting stops. They allowed opponents to shoot 44% from the field, so that plays in the Jackson State's favor. Um, Both teams average over 70 points a game. Jackson State leads the league right now in conference play, allowing only 47.5 points per game. Alabama A&M is at 66. So that's where the difference is going to be. JSU can play better defense than A&M. They should be able to win this game, but I think the Bulldogs will put up a fight. But I think that game will be won by the Tigers of Jackson State. My next game is Valley and Prairie View. Valley, yes, Valley has one of my players to look out for, Shadami McKnight, but they don't have a lot else. Prairie View is a team who hasn't really played well early in conference play. I would like to see them be able to put some things together. They struggled in their matchups earlier this season, losing to both Grambling and Southern. So they have to find a way to make some things happen. Right now, they're averaging 55 points per game, and they're giving up 83. So they've been blown out in both of their losses. They have a point differential margin of 28. Valley's is minus 9.5. So they've lost 2 games, but their games have been a little bit more closer. I don't, with this being a game away from Itabena, I don't know how Valley's going to fare. I think Prairie View should be able to survive this game. Again, this is another game of two teams that don't shoot that well, and neither one of them defend that well. But I think maybe, I'm going to go with Valley with the upset, because I think Shadami McKnight can get hot in a game like this and pull an upset for Valley and pick them up a victory. So I'm going to go with the Delta Devils in that one. They need a win in the worst way, and what better way to get it than to get one on the road against a team like Prairie View, who can be susceptible to taking a loss in this game. They already been beat pretty soundly in their first 2 games, so they're kind of needing some momentum. And I don't know if this is going to be the game to get it for them. Our next game is Pine Bluff at Texas Southern. This is also a 3 p.m. tip. I like the Golden Lions in this one. I think that they have the better team out of the two teams. Of course, they have the size, they have the rebounding, they have the guard play. They have pretty much whatever you need to win in a game like this. And I'm looking for Pine Bluff to kind of assert themselves this season, primarily because last season they made it into the tournament as the 7th seed and made the championship. But I think that they are hungry to get that. I think Coach Thornton is going to have those young women ready to play, and I think they're on a collision course with with a conference championship in the regular season. Now they're gonna have to through a couple more teams to get there, but I think that they can make it there. So like I said, they rebound well. They have the size inside. They have the guard play that you want. Um, Pretty much anything that you need, they have it. So I like them against TSU. TSU has had turnover problems. Both of their games, they turned the ball over more than 20 times in both games. So I think that factor alone will hold back TSU against a team like this. So I like Pine Bluff in this game. I think they'll pick up the victory, and they'll advance their record to 3-0. Our final women's game of the day is Grambling at Bethune-Cookman. They didn't have the time listed on the SWAC website, but the game is at 1 p.m. Central Time at Bethune-Cookman. This should be a fun game. I think Bethune-Cookman is a team who is gonna be in the mix for a top 4 seed. They have the potential. They have the offense. They've won. They've won 9. They came into the conference play with 9 non-conference wins, so they are already putting together some wins. They lead the league right now scoring. In one game, they scored 80 points against FAMU. So they only have one game under their belts, but they scored 80 points in that game. So they can definitely put the points on the board. On the shooting, 52% from the field. Like I said, all of this is in one game, and 33% from 3. So they can definitely put the ball in the basket. Rebounding is going to be an issue right now. They got out rebounded by FAMU in that game by 6. Grambling is a team that averages 35.5 rebounds to Bethune-Cookman's 32. So it should be pretty tight on the boards. But I think Grambling, if they can play solid defense and slow this Bethune-Cookman offense down, that can go a long way of helping them. Grambling is allowing 38% shooting from the field, so that can definitely help them in this game. Bethune-Cookman is giving up 40% from the field. So I think this should be a tight game. Grambling gives up a lot of threes. Their opponents are shooting 42% from 3 in conference play. That could help. Grambling shooting 26 from the field, so they have struggled shooting threes in their 2 games so far. I like Bethune-Cookman in this game. I think Grambling's gonna fight, but I think the Wildcats continue to win, especially at home. So that's our women's slate. Same teams, same schools play on the men's side, but we're gonna go over the men's standings right now, and let you know what's what before we go into my predictions for these games. Right now, Southern leads the conference. They're the only team at 2-0. They're 8 Jackson. Let's see, they had this thing all crazy. Southern's 2-0, 8-7 overall. Bethune-Cookman is 1-0, 6-8 overall. Jackson State is 2-0, 6-9 overall. So those are your 3 unbeaten teams on the men's side. There are 2 teams at 2-1. Alabama State's 2-1, 7-9 overall. A&M is 2-1, 3-13 overall. Grambling is 1-1, 4-11 overall. Texas Southern 1-1, 3-10 overall. Alcorn 1-1, 2-13 overall. Prairie View is 0-2, 5-10 overall. Pine Bluff 0-2, 5-10 overall. FAMU 0-1, 2-10 overall, and Valley is 0-2 with an 0-15 overall record. Like I said, a lot of these records are going to start to get better as we get into conference play. As you see, a lot of teams didn't pick up a lot of wins, but we did have quite a few D1 wins. We have a couple Power 5 wins and some high mid-major wins under the belt for our teams. So that's definitely always something good to have under your belt. First game on the schedule is Southern at Florida A&M. That's a 3 p.m. tip. This is a very interesting game for a lot of reasons. For one, FAMU, they were able to score 86 points against Bethune-Cookman. They lost their game by 12, but they were able to score 86 points. Southern's offense has been up and down. They only scored 58 against Texas Southern, but they scored, I think, like 79 against Prairie View. So they haven't really had the consistency offensively. And this is their first conference road game under Coach Johnson. His team has 11 new guys, so this is a new experience for the bulk of this team to play on the road. And of your 4 returning guys, only one has started at Southern before this season. So this is basically a new team on the road in a place that could be difficult. But I think Southern defensively, they've been playing pretty well. They're giving up 54.5 points per game in their 2 games. Of course, FAMU gave up that 98 to Bethune-Cookman. It's only 1 game, so it's not a lot that you can take from that. FAMU did shoot over 50% in that game. Southern is right now shooting 41%. Defensively, Southern's opponents are shooting 30% from the field. FAMU allowed 58% from Bethune-Cookman. So it's like, I keep saying this over and over, but it's tough to figure out where these teams are. FAMU shooting 44% from 3. Southern's at 31. They did not shoot well from 3 against Texas Southern, but they shot the ball a lot better against Prairie View. So I think that should help. Southern didn't really give up very many threes in their 2 games against Texas Southern and Prairie View, although both teams missed a lot of open shots. Prairie View was like 1 for 7 against Southern in that game. But I think Southern defensively, I think they have a lot of guys that can get after the ball. They have some size inside. They're starting to get better with blocking shots. Right now, they're tied for the league lead with 5.5 block shots a game. So that definitely is going to be a factor. Right now, FAMU only has the 1 block in their game. But I think that this is going to be a game where if Southern can take care of the ball, they should be fine. I think FAMU's going to, of course, challenge them. But I think Southern wins this game in a close one. And they advance their record to 3. Grambling is at Bethune-Cookman. This is an entertaining game to me. This is also a 3 o'clock tip. Don't sleep on Grambling. Grambling, of course, they lost to Texas Southern in a close game, and they didn't win a lot of non-conference games. But Grambling is a team that I always feel like defensively they're going to be right there in the mix. They make it hard for you. They're not scared to play a lot of zone. They have some size. They're gonna get in your chest. They're shooting the ball pretty well right now. In 2 games, they're shooting 43% from the field. They're only shooting 26 from 3, but they can score if they need to. I think they can make it tough for Bethune-Cookman, who, like I said, they have the only 1 game, but their offense is definitely able to put the points on the board. I still like Grambling. I think Grambling going to pull this upset in this game. I mean, Bethune-Cookman does have some guys that can put the ball in the basket, but I like Grambling because of their defense. If they can slow this Pine Bluff team, why do I keep saying Pine Bluff? They can slow this Bethune-Cookman team down, then I think they have a good chance. If this game becomes an up and down affair, then I think Bethune-Cookman wins this game. So I'm going to go with Grambling to win this game because I think their defense can make it happen. They say defense travels, so I think their defense can travel to Daytona and pick them up a victory. I think Grambling is going to be in the battle for the top spot in the conference, so I don't count them out right now at all. Alcorn is at Alabama State. This is a very good early season game for both teams. 4 o'clock tip. Alcorn kind of got off to the slow start. They lost to Jackson State, but they beat Alabama A&M on Thursday. You can't count out Alcorn. Of course, they're the defending regular season champs. Right now, they're not really where I think they will be as a finished product, but they will be getting there. The one thing I always say about Alcorn is they don't really turn the ball over a lot. They take care of the ball very well. Right now, they only averaging 9.5 turnovers in conference play. They're forcing 12.5. Bama State's averaging 12.3, and they're forcing 16. So if Alabama State can force a team that doesn't turn the ball over a lot to get some turnovers, that's going to help them. Guard play for Bama State has been very good right now. Hines and Madlock are playing very well on the perimeter for Bama State. But Alcorn, with Coach Bussey on the sideline, you can't count those guys out. It's the Acadome is a tough place to play. Both teams are kind of doing fairly well. Alcorn's averaging 77 points a game right now to Bama State 66. The one thing that I look at for Alabama State is their couple wins were games that went into they were tight down the stretch. They pulled away from Pine Bluff and they needed a late steal to win against Valley by 3. So they haven't really they haven't really played a great game yet, but they have the ability to, make some things happen. Alcorn has given up 79 points. So if Bama State wants to, make it happen, they're gonna have to kind of get Alcorn uncomfortable, and force them to turn the ball over, and then maybe they can find a way to get those buckets that they need. Alcorn right now, they're 4th in the league in rebounding. Alabama State is 7th. There's only like a 1 rebound difference between the two teams. Alabama State opponents are averaging 37 rebounds. Alcorn opponents are averaging 33. So Alcorn has won the rebounding battle in their game so far. But that's not a big difference in rebounding in these two teams. But I like Alcorn to pull this win because I think they're gonna start to hit their stride from here to whenever. I think they're gonna start to hit their stride now. So I like the Braves in this one. Jackson State is at Alabama A&M. 5:00 tip. Jackson State is gonna Jackson State is gonna be a team that's gonna be in the mix. You got Ken Evans, definitely a guy that's gonna put some points on the board for them. He's been playing very well. Chase Adams is another guy at point guard that's been able to do some work for them, distributing the ball, even rebounding for a small guy. He does a lot for you. Like I said, Ken Evans right now is averaging 19.5 points in conference play. This team is gonna, they're playing well. They've been playing well from the non-conference. They're 2-0 right now, and I think they're gonna start to try to assert themselves. They're shooting 48% from the field, and their opponents are shooting right now, shooting 38%. So they're playing pretty good defense and they're scoring pretty well. Alabama A&M right now they're shooting 48% as well from the field, and opponents are shooting 41. A&M shooting 42% from 3. They have been shooting the threes very well. Jackson State is at 29. So with the Bulldogs playing at home, they shoot really well at home. Going back to last season, playing in that new arena, they can hurt you from the perimeter in a game like this. And they have some big bodies to throw at you. They're not necessarily gonna damage you offensively, but they're big guys. They can wear you down and open up things for their shooters. If A&M can shoot the ball at a high clip from outside, that can help. Jackson State has guys like Colty Young who can shoot the 3, but he's erratic. If those guys can make those threes, then Jackson State's going to win this game. If their shots aren't falling and A&M has that home surge and makes those shots at home, then I think they win. But I like Jackson State as more of a complete team out of the two. So I think JSU wins this game, and they take 2 games on the Alabama trip, which is very important to win those road games. Valley is at Prairie View. That's a 5:30 tip. I haven't seen Valley in person, but they have some guys that can play. They have some guys that can put the ball in the basket. Raekwon Brown, he had a double-double last week. He's definitely a guy that can hurt you. Donovan Sanders is another guy from Valley that can score. They're both averaging about 17 points per game. So they both can score. Prairie View they're a strange team to me. They play a lot of guys. They play probably 12 guys. Charles Lane is the leading scorer right now. He's scoring 12.5 points per game in conference play. But they have some guys that can shoot the ball. They're just not a consistent shooting team. They don't really defend very well. They don't have a lot of size, but I think they can wear you down if they can kind of throw those numbers at you and continue to weigh you down. I mean, they're only shooting 19% from three in conference play, so they've only made 4 threes in conference play. So they haven't shot the ball extremely well. Defensively, they're giving up 42% from three. So they have to find a way to slow down this Valley team who can score. Valley is, they haven't really put up a ton of points, but they have guys that can get hot. Valley's averaging 60 and a half points per game. Prairie is also at 60 and a half. So both teams are the same there. Valley's giving up 66 per game, and Prairie View is giving up 74. So they've been blown out in their losses. Their margin is minus 13 and a half. So they have lost both their games by double digits. Valley has been in two closer games. Their average is 5.5 points per game difference. But again, playing at home, I think that's the difference in this game. I look for Prairie View to get some help from Charles Smith. Also, he should be able to chip in some points, and Lane as well. So I think that Prairie View will be able to make some things happen, and I think they'll win this game. My final game of the day is Texas Southern hosting Pine Bluff. That's a 5:30 tip. Pine Bluff has a tremendous offense, especially in the non-conference. They had quite a few guys who were ranked highly in scoring. You have Linnell Martin, Colin Milton, Joe French. Those are guys who can definitely shoot the ball. They can shoot threes really well, and they can score from all over the court. Pine Bluff, that thing is gonna have to be getting stops. I mean, they have to slow teams down. They're giving up 73 points per game. They're scoring 67 in conference play. They're playing a TSU team that hasn't scored the ball well at all. They're scoring 52.5 points per game, but they're only giving up 55. They played 2 games. They've both been within, I think, like 8 points, and both games were like in the 50s. So I don't know if that's by design right now, or if that's or if those were exceptions to what TSU is going to be. PJ Henry did not play against Grambling. He got banged up against Southern. If he plays, then I think that is a weapon, because he did not shoot well against Southern, and the team is only shooting 29% from the field, but they're only giving up 34%. Pine Bluff shoots 38% from the field, and the opponents are shooting 45. So they haven't really played great defense. This could be the game that opens things up for Texas Southern. Pine Bluff's definitely going to want to play a higher tempo. TSU rebounds well. They're averaging 38.5 rebounds per game. Pine Bluff is at 31. Pine Bluff opponents are at they're at 40. So they give up a lot of rebounds. They don't have they're not a strong rebounding team. Texas Southern's opponents are at 39. So both teams kind of struggle with keeping the opponents off the board. But the fact that TSU can rebound and they have some size, I think that will help them in this game. They have some guys who can shoot the ball. They just have not played well in conference play. Even beating Grambling, that game was not pretty. But I think TSU wins. This is a tough place for Pine Bluff to play. They lost 2 games at home already, and that puts you behind the 8 ball. You don't want to lose games at home. I mean, as much as you can avoid it. The more you lose games at home, the more you open up yourself to having to win a lot of games on the road, and having to go somewhere like Texas Southern and win on the road is always going to be tough. Even when they were in that slump early last season, they still were a team who could pick up wins at home. I think Pine Bluff is going to have to. They're going to have to shoot the ball well, and they're going to have to continue to keep Texas Southern off balance offensively, because TSU hasn't had a great offensive effort in either of their 2 conference games. But I still think TSU is going to win, because I just don't discount Texas Southern at all. So I like the Tigers to win this game. Pine Bluff, they have to find a way to translate that offense into wins, and I don't know if they're able to do that right now. But that's going to do it for today's show, man. I thank y'all for rocking with me, and we're going to catch y'all on the rebound tomorrow with our recaps of these games, and we'll holler at y'all tomorrow. And we out. Peace.